Hello everyone, and welcome to another Shatter Valley update video. Today I uploaded a new preview build up to itch.io, which is version 2019.9.14. So I'm gonna just go ahead and give you a quick look at the new features and changes and progress that's been made since last week. If you'd like to try the game for yourself, you can go ahead and hit the link below for the itch.io download page. And you'll also see a link to a Discord server where you can offer your feedback and ask any questions that you might have. Without further ado, let's go ahead and launch the game here and get right into it. The first thing you'll be greeted with now is a little help screen. This will show you the controls and quick instructions for how to play the game. Obviously, this isn't the ideal thing for the end product, but for now, as it's an early prototype, I thought this might be useful. A few of the most obvious things that you'll see upon loading into a raid. For one, we have an aim pointer, so you can see this line coming out from the player, showing me where I'm aiming. We also have a small, very basic heads-up display just below the player. This shows the player's health in 3 chunks, as well as information about the current weapons. This is actually the simple but very important new mechanic of reloading. So your weapons now have a capacity, and you have to reload them when they are depleted. Now you can switch between the weapons with Y, but you can also hit the right bumper to use both at the same time. The next big mechanical update is that projectiles can be shot out of the air now. This goes for your projectiles and the enemy's projectiles. One other thing you may have noticed is that we now have some audio in the game. It's just one sound, just for shooting. There's no other sounds in the game, but already it's a 1000% improvement over having absolutely no audio. In the last build, you may have noticed the projectiles trails not quite rendering properly. They kind of looked a bit weird and they clipped through the ground a lot, and that's now been fixed. You'll also notice the visual representation of the weapon, or the weapons on the ship, have changed. And this brings us to the next big point, which is the 2 other weapon parts being introduced into the game. There's receivers, capacitors, and receivers, and together those 3 things combine to make a weapon. For visual simplicity and recognizability, the 3 different parts have 3 different looks. The red chunk is your receiver, it's the main part of the weapon, and then you have your discharger up front, which is the green piece, and you have the glowy bit on the side, which is your capacitor. So let's take a look at the outfitting screen and take a look at our new weapon parts. You can see here on the outfitting screen, we have 3 different weapon parts underneath the starting weapon. We also have stats that go along with each of these weapon parts, and together they combine to create your aggregate stats for your weapon. For example, you can see our left weapon currently has a capacity of 33 shots. But if we take this capacitor, which is responsible for holding the energy, or basically your magazine for your weapon, and we swap it with a bigger one, like this quad cell, now we have a capacity of 400 and a charge rate of 800, which gives us a capacity of 133 shots with a much shorter reload time as well. If your loadout has weapons that are incomplete, meaning they are missing parts, like this, you won't be able to start the raid, and this is more clearly illustrated now with the red outlines. You may have also noticed that we can now unequip weapons, which was missing from the previous build. If you have a weapon equipped and you don't have enough parts to fill it, if you want to start a raid with no weapons and do a stealth run, just simply unequip the weapon and you should be good to go. Your inventory now sorts itself, so if you create a weapon, the weapons appear at the top, and the components attached to that weapon will appear directly below the weapons to make it more clear what parts are attached to what weapons. You'll also notice that we have a golden or yellow outlining for when you're doing a swap. This makes it very clear which parts you can swap into the slot that you've clicked on and which ones you can't. Personally, I recommend clicking on the left side first if you want to fill this slot with a receiver. It very quickly highlights the items that you can equip here. This is also a good time to point out that I've fixed some issues with the UI with the controller, and it is now pretty much entirely navigatable with just the controller, so you no longer need to use the mouse if you don't want to. Besides that, I've sorted out some bugs and some heavy performance issues, so now performance should be pretty well rock solid no matter how much you're shooting or how many bullets are on screen. It's been quite a week and I've made a lot of progress, and I think the build is a lot closer to being usable for everyday players at home. If you're interested in seeing the journey from point A to point B from last build to this build, keep an eye out for a devlog that I'll be putting out soon. And yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Thank you very much to those of you who tried out the demo last week, and I hope you really enjoy this one. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.